Alright everyone, I've got to make this intro brief because I'd finished the video and then I went onto the eShop for one last glance and 4 new games came on at their lowest ever prices. This is just ludicrous. You're talking about things like Kingdom Come Deliverance as well, so I have to include it. Alright, all the usual things. Save yourself 5% on your eShop credit over at switchup.gg. You'll get that in cash back. You don't need to do anything fancy. Just buy your credit there. Especially with the gold coins going, at least you'll get some way of getting some money back. This is the winner of the game from last week. Well done, nice comment. If you guys want to win one, then just leave a comment down below and I'll choose someone. Hopefully you know my name, it's Mark Walker, the man of many a backlog. What are the best games on sale? This is a definite whelp. Let's find out. Now, if you happen to be a gamer that just likes games, aka you play on a few different platforms, then like me, you might want to check out a game called Mainframes from developer Eshop and publisher The Arcade Crew, which released on March the 6th. And it's available on Steam and of course Nintendo Switch. Another one of those great games that just would have been completely hidden in the eShop. Now this is a really clever platformer where your desktop is essentially your playground. You join Floppy, you can get that reference, who is a daring program on a journey through the digital landscapes, solving puzzles, uncovering secrets, all within the windows of a PC monitor. And it has a really nice cast of characters, loads of different secret areas, and the levels are really well designed. You really do have to think outside the box, has that nice artistic direction. Certainly if you like some of the best games on Switch like Celeste or Hollow Knight, this one may well click with you. There's a link in the description if you want to go check it out, and a thanks to the Arcade Crew for sponsoring this section. Alright, let's kick off then with Outward Definitive Edition, which is 60% off until March 13th. That's the cheapest it's ever been, and that takes it to £12.79. This is an incredibly good game. It reminds me of old school Gothic. It might look a bit janky, but it is a cracking RPG. It has survival elements as well, so you can like camp outdoors, roll out your sleeping bag and set up camp. But you'll find yourself being attacked by, well, pretty much by everything and everyone. And it does have a difficult start. Like that initial learning curve is pretty brutal, but eventually you start to get to grips on it. Now, if you're old like me, in the back in the day, you might have played something like Morrowind. It has that kind of feeling that it really is hands-off, but that also leads to some of the best moments in RPGs, in my opinion. This does also feature both of the game's DLCs. If you're interested, I would strongly recommend checking out the full review, because this is a great game. And as I say, the cheapest that one's ever been on sale, 6.3 gigs as well, so not too chunky. Then you've got Kingdom Come Deliverance Royal Edition, which is down 65%. That goes on until March 13th. That is its cheapest ever price, and it takes it to £13.99. Now, if for whatever reason you haven't played this game yet, just scrap the rest of this list. I don't really care. If you're after something that is going to completely captivate you, then yeah, take on the role of Henry of Skalitz, essentially live a medieval simulator for the next 100 hours, and then come back and tell me how much fun you had. That'll be worthwhile for me, to be honest. I'm playing the sequel at the moment, and it's just, oh, it's so good. It's absolutely glorious. The game's so detailed that there's actually a hardcore mode that takes away all navigation. So you haven't got a compass, and you can actually navigate like by the stars and stuff. It is, yeah, I can't say enough about it. Go check out my review of that one if you're interested. It's 14.4 gigs to download. That's Kingdom Come Deliverance Royal Edition, 65% off. Yes, please. That is a Royal Barjan. Another new addition to this list that had to go in is Skautfold Usurper, which is down 70% until March the 19th. I've been keeping my eye on this for ages to try and get you guys a good sale on it, but it never seems to go on sale. Well, it's not true, it does go on sale, I just miss it. But it's a Metroidvania action RPG that has such an unusual feel to it. Like, you're in this place and you kind of make your way down a few levels, and the next thing you know, you're like dropping down onto a Victorian London. I was really impressed with the combat as well, surprisingly good. Now, as far as Metroidvanias go, this isn't the longest, about 7 to 9 hours. Really the sweet spot when you're spending £4, isn't it? This is another that is its lowest ever price. That's 70% off. That's Skautfold Usurper. Pick it up before it ends on March the 19th. Happy days. The final extra addition to this video then is Metro Redux, which includes both the original Metro, which was remastered, as well as Metro Last Light in one bundle at 90% off, which is £2.39. Like, you'd be insulting the developers if you don't buy it at that price. What even is that? £2.39 for two of the best first-person games we've got. They're not even just FPSs. The sequel has a modification system so you can customize your weapons. There's a whole town in there. It follows Artyom and his adventures. And yeah, if you like the Stalker games, you owe it to yourself to get these. They are quite scary. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. There were some more terrifying moments, but I tell you what isn't terrifying, that price. In the interest of this video not going on for 1,000 hours, I will shrink some of the others down a little bit, just less waffle, more gameage. First, you've got a Ranger, bit of a hidden gem, a role puzzling adventure it's called. It's 50% off until March the 20th, and I think that's its cheapest. Now, I played this at launch and I did very much enjoy it, but I was just too busy to get a full review out. It's down to £8.99, which is a decent price. It does feature 1 or 2 player modes as well, and it all centers around a small town misfit called Gemma. And if I remember correctly, you're like moving the world that she walks on, kind of like shifts and moves, and that then aids her exploration. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I do remember it. And it's actually, yeah, quite a nice, interesting mechanic, while still having RPG aspects, I guess. Maybe that's a bit rich. It's got some RPG aspects, and it's not too long. It's about 6 or 7 hours, just 900 megs for a bit of a hidden gem in a Ranger, a role puzzling adventure, half price until March the 20th. Now, credit where it's due, Another Crab's Treasure is 34% off. I mean, that's not the credit where it's due, that's just me telling you the price. It's had a big patch, and they fixed the handheld performance for the most part. I know as well, a lot of you are waiting for my all patched up episode. It is in the works, but things keep coming up, like Suikoden, that came up, and I was like, well, I'm definitely doing that. So yeah, in a way it's good, because people keep recommending new games for the list. When you do finally get it, it's going to be a right beast. Another Crab's Treasure is 34% off. It's a Souls-like with a crab. It's just 1.8 gigs, and that goes on until March the 24th. Now, I actually own the physical edition of Gungrave Gore Ultimate Enhanced Edition, but it's finally got a sale on Switch. It's down to £14.39, which is 60% off, and that's until March the 14th. What is it, you might ask? Well, it's an action game, very old school action game actually, that's supposedly seen some enhancements, but I'm not gonna lie, at times it looks like a dog's dinner. You've basically got this main protagonist who is overly attached to his coffin, but if you're after just a completely mindless action game that feels like it was stripped straight out of the 90s, then you will get some enjoyment out of this for sure. If you want the physical edition that I've got, and it is all on the cartridge, you can get it over at PlayAsia. We've got a discount link in the description as well, so you can save yourself a small portion of bunts. Gungrave Gore, 60% off until March the 14th. Little Guardsman has got its lowest ever price. That's £7.19 until March the 19th. It is basically Papers, Please, but you're taking over from your dad, who is the usual guardsman, and yeah, you sit in for him and basically have to decide. It's a lot of basicallys, isn't it? It's too many if you ask me. I should delete this whole section, but I'm not going to. You sit in for him and you decide who comes into the city and who doesn't, and that then affects the storyline. You have some different tools that you can use to help you with that, like the interrogation puzzle. And you'll spend the gold you make buying more of those tools, which you then deploy during your shifts, I guess you can call them, to try and come out with a better result. It's actually really quite addictive, this one. You wouldn't really think it looking at that, but it is. That's Lil Guardsman, 60% off, $7.19 until March the 19th. Right, I'm busting my way through these. I'm feeling a bit more positive now, because this is a huge list and I think we're not even halfway yet. You've got Mr. Sun's Hatbox at 50% off until March the 10th. That's £6.74. I wanted to mention this one because I've never talked about it before. It's actually quite a fast-paced action game, but I hadn't realized that it has co-op in it. So you can do co-op with up to 4 players. You start out as like a solo delivery squad, and you have to build up an organization of, wait for it, reformed hat thieves. So you'll send them out on missions, making use, of course, of the headgear that you've acquired. And, well, you can probably tell by the on-screen antics, it all gets a bit out of hand. One thing I will say, though, is that every single character has their own unique traits, which does make for some good replayability and variety. And you'll be getting different loot from your missions and then gradually building up your base area. This could have been a hidden gem as well, couldn't it? Man, let's move on quickly before I find any more. Double Dragon Neon, that's down 30%, which goes on until March the 13th. I think that might be its cheapest as well. Yeah, it is. Just typed it out again, double checked. double dragon, double the discount. That's actually its first ever sale as well. Oh man, £7.76 until March the 13th. We've got a review of this one, so go check it out if you're interested. At that price, Double Dragon Neon is not bad at all. That sale goes on until March the 13th. Doomsday Hunters is 61% off. That's its cheapest until March the 22nd. This is quality. It's got 160 different enemies, 20 boss fights, 1,200 unique items to get. So yeah, if you're not saturated with roguelites, you like your Hades style formula, yeah, you're going to enjoy this one a lot. They released the Boss Rush Mega Pack as well, which is a DLC that you can download at 41% off, so you can get the whole lot for about a tenner. This is another we've got a video of, so you can go check it out if you're interested, but an easy recommendation. That's Doomsday Hunters, 61% off until March the 22nd. You're not going mad. Broken Roads was in last week's sale, and it was also in our midweek sale, and it's in this sale as well. Why, Mark? What are you doing? Well, it's a CRPG. They're amazing. We never get sales on them. There aren't many on Switch. The ones that we do have are quality, like this one, and at $12.59, I just think you should get it. If you're a fan of these types of games, you're looking at like 20-25 hours of quality CRPG goodness. That sale goes on until March the 19th. Okay, a hidden gem then. Before I add in even more games, because I've just seen some that need to go in this list, I really must just stop looking, because this is getting painful. The hidden gem is Symphonia. This is down to its cheapest. It's 20% off, down to £13.59. It's a 1 gig download. It's not the longest game, it's about 5 hours, and it's an action platformer. Basically within this universe, music acts as power, but it doesn't end with that as the, as the only musical element. You have to like play the violin, gather different musicians, and as you discover those environments, you essentially unlock this symphony, for want of a better word. It's really clever the way they've used music to enhance the whole thing. Hopefully I can play you a little snippet just to give you an idea of like the flavor of this game. But that's Symphonia, $13.59, 20% off. That goes on until April the 2nd, and it's the cheapest it's ever been. All right, a few extras before we start the Savaloy list. Someone mentioned that Doom 2016 is its cheapest ever price. You are correct, but it is US only. 75% off until March 15th. And in case you forgot, it's a 21 gigabyte download, which is absolutely obscene. Also in the US only regions, we've got Unicorn Overlord, 50% off until March 15th. Possibly one of my favorite games on Switch. I'd say top 5. And just to be fair, let's have a UK only deal. It's actually the kids pick. It's Gigantosaurus the game, 60% off until March the 16th, down to $7.99. Is it a good game? Not in my opinion, it's not, no, but my kids absolutely loved it. It's got 4-player co-op, and they've got their little silly dinosaurs, and they're just running around doing, well, I couldn't really figure it out half the time, but they assure me that this is a good kids pick, so there you go. If you're an adult, no thanks. But yeah, kids that like Gigantosaurus, for some reason they seem to enjoy it. Which takes us then, my friends, onto our Savaloy selection. We've got 5 Savaloys today. Weirdly, there's always someone eating a Savaloy during this selection. I guess statistically that might actually be a reasonable percentage chance. But if you're not and you're enjoying something else, let me know in the comments. I shall get far too hungry and order a pizza. First up, we got Rive Ultimate Edition, 93% off until March 28th. That's down to 94 pence. This is a bit like a Metroidvania with this weird little tank thing. This came out right at the start of the Switch's life. 861 megs. Yes, please. Milkmaid of the Milky Way. What a great name. Classic style point-and-click adventure featuring, wow, you can figure that part out, can't you? It's just £1.37 or your regional equivalent, and it has a download of 237 megs. Really enjoyed this one actually. It's not the longest, but it's quite, I don't know, you can probably tell from the visuals, it has a very distinct feel to it. Tyrant's Blessing is another one that's down 90% until March the 24th. Sadly, that one's only in the US regions, but it has some really nice tactical turn-based battles and combat, where you're essentially fighting against the undead. Not too shabby for that price. Blue Rider is a game I hadn't heard of, but for £1.79 and with my current drive towards shmups, I was quite happy to give it a bash, and it is good fun. It's not the best, like this is I'd say a bang average shoot 'em up, maybe a little bit above average, that's a bit harsh actually. And really the reason I bought it was because my son was playing, I thought he was playing Fortnite the other day, and look, I gotta be honest, of all the games you could be playing, that's not really the one that makes me go, yeah, that's a good use of time. But I went over to see, and he was playing a shoot 'em up, and I was like, you absolute boss. So now I'm trying to pick him up a load of shmups, so for what, £1 or whatever this is, I grabbed this one up, and he's enjoying it so far. The last Savaloy, or Fedcook, or Cooksista, is the lovely Luck Slinger. This is 80% off until March the 13th. What the heck is Luck Slinger? That's a good question. Don't be fooled by the visual style. Every level has a slightly different theme. Some brutal boss fights. Oh, and there's a duck that's your companion, and there's things like gambling in there, quick draw battles. It's actually a really quirky little action adventure game. Nice little Savaloy hidden gem, that one. So there we go. I don't know how many games that was. It was far more than I wanted to do. Every new game, I obviously have to download the trailer. I've got to go back to my backlog, take a look to refresh my memory, write a couple of notes down that I usually ignore, it has to be honest, it has to be said, and then we're good to go. So it's a lot of extra work, so hopefully someone's found something they enjoy. Thank you to all of you that enjoy the content. As I said at the start, save yourself even more and help us out a tiny bit by buying your eShop credit over at switchup.gg or your physical games over at PlayAsia. Glenn had his nice little hack. Like if you're in the UK and you use PlayAsia, basically if you stay below, I think it's like £200 or something like that, but you're just above the threshold for free delivery and you don't use the what is it, like you can pay to get faster shipping, don't do that, then you'll basically not pay import duties. Completely legitimately, don't come after me. That's not guaranteed, by the way, it just seems to always happen. So yeah, there we have it. Thank you to our Patreons, our new members, and to all of you that enjoy the content, and our old members, by the way. I'm not excluding you, I'm just, it's 1 in the morning, come on. For all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers guys, see ya!